Welcome from the IIBA Tampa Bay, Florida chapter. This is our study group for October 5th of 2023. This is our 94th study group. Today we're going to be talking about applying for and taking the CBAP, which is the Certified Business Analyst Professional Certification from the International Institute of Business Analysis, which is the governing body for business analysts worldwide. Our chapter is run out of Tampa Bay, Florida, but we are actually worldwide. We have people that participate from all over the world. Our mission is to bridge the gap between industry leaders and business analysts by building partnerships with professionals, educators, and employers so that we may empower, instruct, and engage the BA community. Regardless of where you live, you can become a member of our chapter through the IIBA. You can watch us through the recordings of these. If you need any assistance, reach out to us via LinkedIn. We've given you a lot of different ways to reach us. This is our normal Thursday evening study group from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. We will drop the link for the past meeting recordings in the chat. We also have an IIBA site, Meetup, Zoom, Facebook, and LinkedIn groups. We've given you a lot of ways to reach out to us. We want to hear from you. Watermark Learning has been our constant companion and supporter through our study groups. They've given us a discount code, which is Tampa-21, which gives you a 20% discount off of any of their products. We will look at their website in just a few minutes, but they do have a lot more than just business analyst items. But in the business analysis category, they've got practice test questions. They've got flashcards. They've got classes. They've got quite a number of things that will help you prepare for any of the business analyst test questions. We are both.
That's no good.
No, she froze us. Uh-oh.
Talk amongst yourselves. How are you, James?
I'm very well. Thanks for asking.
Good. Welcome.
Thank you.
There's Thea back. You're muted.
There we are. I don't know why it dropped, but here we are again. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. No.
No, not yet.
And you froze again.
Oh, Illia is here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Back to my spiel. I was at this one. Once again, my name is Thea Soren. I'm the Vice President of Career and Professional Development for the chapter. If you have any questions about being a business analyst, if you need mentorship, if you need requirements reviewed, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. Reach out to me through LinkedIn right here. We are looking for a few new board members. If you're interested in having the prestige of being on a board, being able to claim that on your LinkedIn profile and resume, but also helping our community. We don't charge for any of our services here through this chapter. We don't charge for study groups or anything else, unlike many of the other chapters. So what you're really doing is helping our community worldwide. We have study group advisors here. This is Bob Churchill. Bob has earned his CBAP and a bunch of other things. He also has the rpchurchill.com website that I'll show you in just a minute. He has been a great asset to us, and he is here to participate in our study group. Illia is also here. You'll see her right here. She has also earned her CBAP certification after being a member of our class for a long time. So I'm really proud of both of them and grateful that they are joining us. One of the benefits of them joining us is that makes this hour that you're spending with us a study hour that you can use in your certifications. We have a lot of people that have earned certifications after being members of our study group. I've got a list here. I'm sure it's not complete, but these are the people that have reached out to me to say, I earned my certification and you had a big part to do with it. And I'm very grateful that they let me know because, as you know, we put a lot of work into this. This is our 94th class. We are today going to be talking about applying for and taking the CBAP, as well as the other certifications. Let's see, has Illia joined us?
Yes.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Illia, I will let you talk about the certification. I did pull together some information on the difference between the different certifications, but we'll go over that after you talk about your experience in applying for the CBAP, which is the Certified Business Analyst Professional. And since you just recently did that and passed it, we want to hear what your current experiences are so that we can all know what's going to happen. And congratulations. So I'm going
Thank
to
you.
stop sharing the screen. Do you have something to share?
Yes.
Yeah, can
Okay. I will stop sharing
sorry.
the screen and I'll give you the screen.
Okay.
And
Let me see how I can do that. Okay. Okay, share the screen. Okay.
yes, there you go.
And actually,
Yes.
Thea, while we're waiting for that, I just wanted to interject. We partnered with Apex recently here locally. They've got a lot of free classes for
Great.
CDUs and PDUs. If you join our channels, you'll see the announcements of all the stuff that they offer. But like I said, to get CDU and PDU credits for the various certifications, they actually have free classes too, in addition to this, our study group. So
That is exciting. Thank you, Cliff. I'll look at the postings on LinkedIn to get those. Okay, Illia, take it away.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Tia. So first of all, thank you guys for this group. It's basically due to that group I was able to make this exam, because I remember my experience like a couple of years ago when I just started thinking about the certification. I started to read, there is crash courses, there is this and that, and then there's huge BABOK. So I want to say like the work, the study group, I participated like around 2 years, I would say 1.5 years for sure. So it gives a lot, and hearing from people, from the experience, whoever passed that. So it's very valuable, and it's actually helping you to like be more confident. So I put on the slide, just right after I finished that, I thought I want to share with you guys, because who is trying to pursue that certification, like my my feedback, my latest feedback, and I'll just walk through those bullet points. So in general, it took me 2 years to do that, but it doesn't mean that you have to to go to do it through 2 years. But what I can say is that those crash courses, guys, again, it's not a like a, it's just my experience, right? It's not like you have to do the same. But I realized those crash courses, when I first started looking, it's like you have 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 1 month. My personal experience, that will not be enough to learn this size book. And meaning learn, you have to really understand, not just like have a general idea, but you have literally learn a lot of things and know exactly how it's written in the BABOK. Like just by guessing, by your own experience, even if you like have 6 years of experience as a BA, it won't help. So they give you a very general view of the business analyst, and that's why it's important. Like you might not ever even do these things or use those techniques, but they give you a very general view, and that's why, I mean, you have to learn this BABOK. So I would not trust crash courses. Like just, you can do it in your own. You don't have to pay that extra thousands of money for several weeks and then I believe fail that test. So it's better take your time, prepare it, and go and just learn chapter by chapter. The approach using here is great. So you're going through one chapter, then you test it, practice it until you have certain percentage, and you go to another one, and so on. So I would say like be ready at least 3 months to be ready. But again, it depends how you like. I'm working. I have kid, right? All those chores. So I was not able to find that time to focus, daily on that task. So I used to do it on the weekend. So that's why took me that long. Basically on the last months, or like right before, I was procrastinating a lot. Because when you apply for a test, you have 1 year actually to pass it, and then you can schedule it exam, and then you can postpone it. So I end up postponing it until the point, like until the very last day when I have to go that exam. And then I realized that I cannot postpone anymore, so I have to take it. So like previous weeks, right before that exam, I was really going through that BABOK and trying out the test. So another thing which I honestly was surprised that I passed, because I was doing tests on that watermark learning, and I never achieved more than 60, let's say 61% from that simulation test, where you have 120 questions and cases and all of that. So I assume that the watermark learning is actually way more complex, like in certain way more complicated than the actual test, or let's say more tricky than actual test, because they ask questions like very close to each other. Sometimes they say like that's not like exactly written in a BABOK, but in the actual exam you will be able to understand it. So it's not like it will be that tricky like it in a watermark. That's my experience. Other thing is that when I start going through the question, like first questions was business cases, and I felt like there are more business cases in the exam that in an actual this watermark simulation test. So and a lot of the cases, they're related to calculations, which I was not actually like planning, or thought that maybe I thought there will be 1 or 2 questions, but there was a lot of questions on you have to calculate some ROI, you have to calculate like basic calculations thing. So I was not even at certain point, I thought like, am I on the right test? Like, am I testing for some financial analysis or something? But then it's actually corrected, and the normal questions which I anticipated, which were like in the watermark learning, I was start getting them. But first, I don't remember exactly, like 20 something questions are business cases, which are lengthy to read, especially like and understand, especially if you're not a native speaker. They really have to understand actual the question, and the question itself is like this big. So I took a lot of time on those questions. So my maybe advice to you, like if you feel like you cannot get right away in a couple of minutes that question, flag it and then go to next one, because in the end, that's at least was for me, were more like questions you have multiple choice, you just answer and you go ahead. So I was able to answer almost, I think I used the whole time, 3 hours 30 minutes. It's not like Yulia like killed that quick. So, and in the end, I was really rushing. I mean, I was really trying just to get answered, because I spent so much time on those initial questions. I was trying to recalculate, then check myself, and so on. So that's another learning for me. The other thing I noticed, which was in watermark and also in the exam, is that they're asking you the techniques, but they don't ask you like some weird techniques. The most techniques which are usually used, like data models, relationship use cases, associations. So focus on that, like understanding one-to-one relationships, one-to-many relationship. all those associations, then use cases exclude, include, and so on. So there will be questions like you have to know exactly how the technique works. But I didn't get any weird questions about like the Delphi technique or something like which you would normally not use. What else to say? Yeah, so yeah, again, to repeat that, there will be no, I mean, the watermark learning has very tricky, many times faced like a very tricky question. Maybe that's why my results were low when I was trying to do simulations, but in actual test it was more understandable. So that's, I would say that's my feedback.
Okay, so let me remember my feedback. So yeah, when I was taking exam a year ago, the same, right? First questions, I think first 20 or even 30 questions was long cases. And when I started to read them, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I wanted to cry. I'm literally like, all this time I spent on preparation, they're asking me these long questions, and I was so nervous, I even couldn't understand. And I like, okay, pull yourself together. I pulled myself together, and I said, okay, skip those big questions, these case studies, and do the short questions because I can nail them very, very fast. So I skipped those business cases, and I started to do short questions. I finished like 30 minutes, I was done with short questions. And then I come back to business cases. I did them peacefully. I took a bathroom break, come back, and I still had an hour to go through everything. Right? So strategy would be.
And you were telling about this, and I forgot. I just stuck on those, and I thought like, no, that will be the whole thing like this, only business cases.
Me too, that's why
and then I said, no, I will not gonna make it anyway. But then in the end, it started, like you said, like let's say 70-60% that were just multiple choice simple questions. So I don't know if in every exam, looks like it's in every exam, you're getting those huge, long, lengthy business cases, which actually sometimes like they asking you, there's this turnover, there are stocks, this, you have to calculate some basic calculation, like financial analysis, actually you're doing. It's nothing to do with the requirements, nothing to do like with this. It's just like you would, I don't know, you're working in operations and business unit, because I'm working in IT, right? So I get used, like, okay, business analyst needs to get some requirements and all of that around. But actually cases, this is like this stock, this is this stock, calculate spending, like you have a calculator there, gladly. You have a piece of paper and a pen, so you can try, but sometimes logic, sometimes percentage you need to calculate. So it's tricky.
And many of them are like, what are you even asking me to calculate? Are like, I don't get it. And then that's why you need to don't even read those case studies first, right? Go to short questions, nail them, then come back to business cases, and then spend your time properly. Because like sometimes I'm reading and like, are you serious? What are you asking me? And then I was trying to figure out, like, by backtracking, right, and looking at answer options and trying to understand what they're trying to ask me, because some of the questions, like, well, man, I don't know what you're asking me. Like, it was horrible. So yeah, and Ilya, you also mentioned about techniques that, yeah, you guys need to understand how to read those diagrams. So I was learning how to read those. And in exam, right, you had like a diagram, read it and choose what is going on that diagram. So learn it. It's not that hard. You can do it and you nail it. Yeah.
I got a question for you. When you take it, because I know, like, when I take the Microsoft ones, if you get to a question and you can actually mark it and skip it, and it'll come back later. Is that the way they do it too?
Yeah, it's like you have all questions and you have like taps of all those questions. So if you flag it, it will highlight, and then you can quickly go to the right one. You don't have to scroll. So they make it easy. Let's say if you do it
Okay.
in the classroom, it's easy. It's a big monitor. It's quiet. I mean, everything's like cubicle. I would say small cubicle. You're sitting, and again, they check you thoroughly.
Yeah, they
Like when
don't
you're entering, nothing
watch.
in your pockets. Yeah, like no phones, nothing. Phones should be off, and you leave them, and they have a save box. So you leave them in that save box. They're giving you the key. You're going, you're doing that, and you're leaving.
I even don't remember if they're allowed water. I don't remember,
No,
but
no.
they
So they said the restroom is there. When you're going out to the restroom, they will mark you, and you shouldn't be more than, I think, 5 minutes
yeah,
out. So you have
yeah,
to do it quick, because they think, I don't know, they think you're cheating, maybe, I don't know.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like they have a log. When you go out, they put the time, and then when you return, they put back the time.
yeah.
Okay. So is there any way to take the test from home, or do you have to go to a proctored location?
There is a way, but I didn't choose it because I looked at the rules. To me, like, you have to empty the whole office, and then you have to do all of that, and then you don't have to have distractions. Like, those rules are really tricky. Like, if my
No
son
people.
will rush into my room, like, I don't know. So for me,
Yeah.
I found a place, 20 minutes. I'm in Sarasota, so I think there, I don't know, like, at least in my city, there are several places you can do
Right.
it, and just do it.
Yeah, I know for our exams, they would actually have you take the camera and scan the room. So they would like, I have like 8 monitors in here. They would crap themselves if they, so you have to like take a laptop and go into an empty bedroom if you were even going to try it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. I always go to the testing centers for my Microsoft stuff, which is very similar, just for that reason. It's just easier. And then if your connection dies on you at home, you're really messed up. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the
sure.
other issue.
Okay.
When
And-
I did my CBDA, which I stupidly let lapse, I took it here at this desk, and I needed to, spin my camera all around the room. I couldn't have any, like, maybe one water bottle on the desk. The whole desk had to be empty. My desk is not empty. And I had to flash around to the whole room. So it's a real pain to do it at home. You can do it, but it's easier to go elsewhere. The other thing
Okay.
I would say is that everybody approaches tests differently. So I just plowed through every question in order, whether it was a case-based question or whatever. And I got done. I made one pass and got done with maybe 10 minutes left. And that was enough for me. I didn't even have the energy to go back and review. I was so worn out. And Yulia actually got a slightly better score than me, but she studied like an absolute fiend.
Maniac. Awesome, though.
Yeah, because I knew if I'm not going to get it done, I won't be able to do it later. And one more thing about online exam, you won't be able to have your scratch paper, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of person who likes to take notes or some, so this is one like advantage to go into the test center because they're going to give you a piece of paper.
Okay. We had a question.
I had a question. One of our business analysts, lead business analysts, got her certification, and she did it at the room. So she traveled to a study center to take the test, and she'd been given instructions to bring one piece of ID and they demanded 2 pieces of ID. And so she had to go back to her car and get her second piece of ID. So I don't know what your experience is there with, did they
No,
demand 2?
just
or-
one ID. That's it. Driver's
Yeah.
license.
And they are taking it from you. They're taking it right to.
Yeah, they're actually taking it,
Yeah.
keeping with themselves.
So
Yeah.
I would say a government
depository.
issued photo ID would be mandatory.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
see, I ran into, they wanted a photo ID and then they accepted a credit card as a second ID because they wanted 2. And I'm like, that is the strangest thing I ever run. And then they put it in a locker. So yeah, I've run into that too. I think it just depends on who you run into at the testing center, to be honest.
Yeah. So take 2 just in case. We had
Yeah.
another question.
Yeah, so along with that, due to same reason, I have booked my exam at the test center. So I had a question about, do you need to take a receipt for your exam booking confirmation? Like proof
did.
that you have.
I did. I took
Okay.
every.
Okay.
I think I didn't, but they just have your name.
Well, they
And,
Yeah,
know
just
and then
they
you
expect
register.
you.
Actually, you're coming 15 minutes before. I mean, you should come a little bit before because they asking you to register again and they checking your name. So
Well,
don't
correct me if
come
I'm
like
wrong.
exactly at the time. Yeah.
Whenever you pay your fee and you say where you're going to take it, you kind of commit to when, so they know to expect you. Isn't that correct?
They should be, right?
Okay.
Yeah. When I come in, they already knew my name. But anyway, I had it with me, right, on my phone or something, just in case. And actually, I brought my passport. I did not have a US government ID, right? I had my
Right.
Russian passport. I brought it and it was enough, right? It says who I am. And
Yeah.
so,
Okay, and one more question regarding the percentage of questions coming from chapter underlying competency. So like how many questions can we expect if
I don't remember because
have come
they all
across?
mixed. You have like 120 questions. You stressed. You try, well, at least I'm talking about myself. You're trying to go through them. Competency was not too many actually. I think several questions. Like how you resolve that. Usually the question about like negotiation, how you resolve the conflict, and this and that. But competency, not too many. Like I felt there are a lot of those cases, the business analyst, like financial analysis more. That's what I felt. Like I was not prepared for that, ROI and all that stuff, because I was mostly focusing on trying to figure out what's the input, what's the output, what's this flow thing. And there were a lot of those cases where you have to calculate things and which even don't know which technique you're using. Like they would not ask you like, are you using that specific method or Pareto or whatever, but just calculate there's this thing that
we lost
stocks
him,
left, like calculate the remaining
or
thing.
it's only
It's
me.
like if you would do economics classes, you would have those questions. So that actually saved me because I just, okay, let me remember how I used to do that when I studied economics like many years ago.
Okay, and out of curiosity, again, one more question coming is like, do we get like in sequence all those 20 case study questions, or maybe it's randomly anywhere like?
It's mostly that's what I felt. It's mostly in sequence. They go in big, huge question, huge answer. And then you have like study, and then you have like 2, 3, 4 questions about the same study. And in the end, like second half would be like shorter questions, maybe done so that you still pass this one. Or I don't know, otherwise tricky. You spend a lot of time, you didn't do the easy one. But there were a lot, then there were like a little bit mixed, but mostly they were packed in the beginning.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I figured.
I thought the case-based questions were usually in groups of 5.
Yeah.
So each case would have 5 questions. And there'd probably be one case on every one of the knowledge areas, something like that, which would give you 6 cases, 30 questions.
Okay,
But
that helps.
the
Thank you.
cases, really, if you just think of them as independent questions, it's basically a giant word problem. So you're understanding the context of each individual question from a longer situation description. That's all that is. The questions themselves aren't any harder individually. You just have to suss out the context from a larger mass of information. That's maybe where people struggle, and they do, I'm told.
I would suggest that whenever you get to those long case-based questions, you read the questions first and then go back and read the case. That way you know what you're looking
idea.
Mhm. Yeah.
for.
indeed.
Okay.
Thank you
Any
so
other
very much.
questions?
How Illia, how was filling out the application and signing up and getting people to vouch for your experience and everything? How did that go?
Oh, that go actually very smooth. Like I remember we had sessions when you explained, and then some like how to put your experience and all of that. To me, it was simple. You go into that IIBA site, and then you have like it's guiding you what to fill in. You just fill it in. I just did it in 1 day or 2. You have to know your experience and how many hours I think you spend on each of your activity. But because I had a lot, it was like over. It's even showed that you over certain thousands of hours than expected, and then you just going through it's passing, and then until the moment like you filled all of that, and until that final moment when you register for the test, it's the only thing is open. But when you pass the test, it's automatically updated your page in IIBA. So for me, it was smooth, I would say, because I had a lot of experience and all of the like competences. So I just put those hours, and I think you need to put your job. I did that so long, but it's not something difficult. But again, do it. I mean, once you do it, and then you have the whole year. Once you register, you have the whole year to pass the exam.
Did you get picked for audit?
I don't know how, when. I mean,
When
when
you
this
were
audit.
out
No.
I did.
Oh, they picked you up
Yeah, like I
because
knew
of your Russian passport. Just kidding.
I got audited on one of my renewals, but not the initial application to take the exam.
Let's talk about what it takes to take the different exams and what the differences are between them, because some people may not be as familiar with the CBAP as some of us are. The CBAP is what you take if you have 10 years of experience in some form, or at least 4 years of BA experience. Then there's the CCBA, which is the next level down, which is only 2 to 3 years of experience. And then the ECBA is brand new, just starting, and you just learned some parts of the book. And you'll notice from here, it's not even every chapter. It literally skips chapters. With each of these, it wants you to be able to prove that you have a certain amount of experience, or and within this experience for the CBAP, it breaks it down within the 4 of the 6 knowledge areas. With the CCBA, it's only 7 years, a lower number of experience, and it breaks it down into 2 of the 6 knowledge areas, or out of 500 hours, 4 of the 6 knowledge areas. It's a little complicated. You just have to figure out where you fit. Then, sorry, it jumped. For professional development, you need to have a certain number of hours. For CCBA, you need to have 35 hours in the last 4 years. For the CBAP is 35 hours. For the CCBA is
And
20
that's
hours.
these.
I'm sorry?
And that's these study sessions and
That's-
some
yes.
other things.
And whenever you get ready to apply, we will give you a letter that says you participated in a certain number of study sessions that you did. There are some costs associated with each of these. There's the application fee. They've waived the application fee for the ECBA. And then for the exam fee, if you're a member of the IIBA, it's discounted. So it kind of makes up for the membership cost. If you're a non-member, you've got a higher fee. And then corporate membership, if your corporation has a membership with the IIBA, you've got an even lower fee. Then to rewrite the exam, there is a fee. So you've got to calculate all of these into your expenses whenever you're talking about getting ready to take the exam. As far as the membership, as far as the application, there is one thing that I remember whenever I applied originally. Whenever you hit the submit button for the application, the people that use as your references immediately get an email that say, confirm that this is true. So you need to talk to them ahead of time and let them know exactly what you're doing and what to expect, or because I think they have just a certain number of days to respond. And, you don't want to have to go to them afterwards and say, hey, by the way, I used you as a reference and I need you to do this thing for me. Get that all out of the way before you list them as a reference. And if they are cheerleaders and champions of yours to begin with, that's even better.
I thought former employers or employers get a mail only when you picked for audit. So my former employers got an email. Ilya, in your case, do you know?
Well, I think it's only when you're audited.
Mine were contacted.
Okay. Well, I don't know what the percentages of people that are audited, but let me just say, if you're honest, you don't have to worry about it. Just
Right.
being honest to start with, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to say that if you don't have a business analysis title, I'm a data analyst, or you can be a project manager and be doing business analyst. That work. We're still gathering requirements. We're still confirming validity. We're still doing that stuff. It doesn't matter what title you had. If you're doing the job, you can claim that in this application, and it's legitimate. It's better if those people that are your references are aware that you're applying for this certification. You're going to be using these skills that you developed as in the certification application.
One thing I noticed in the information Thea was showing a minute ago was that they've changed the definitions of the experience you need fairly recently. And now it's 10 years of general experience or 4 years of BA experience.
Right.
You still need the hours doing the activities in the different knowledge areas, but you need to having the general experiences. That's a different definition than they had a while back.
Right.
So it should be easier of a hump to get over.
It is. I'm going to share my screen again and show you the website. Let me just share a general screen, go there. I dropped this in the very, very top of the chat. This is the address for the certifications. If you look at this, you don't see this part unless you highlight it, which is very bad UI. We should know this. They do have a cybersecurity analyst test that they're currently offering a discount. If you scroll down here, you can see the different levels. The ECBA, learn more. It takes you to some really great information. The CCBA, learn more. The CBAP, learn more. Learn more is going to take you to things like this. This is the frequently asked questions for the ECBA. This is the competencies. This is what you need to learn. It really breaks it down pretty well for you. So I encourage you to actually go into the one that you think that you qualify for your experience and for what you want to learn, and learn more about it there. In addition to those, for the business analysis, we have 4 additional certifications that you can learn, that you can earn. There's Agile Analytics Certification, Business Data Analytics Certification, Cybersecurity Analyst Certification, and then Product Owner Analysis Certification. I don't know very much about any of these because I've been focused on business analysis, but I have no doubt that many of you would be qualified to earn these just with the experience that you've had, and that they would be beneficial to you. I used to do this thing when we would talk about taking the certification. I would go into LinkedIn and then put in, let's do business analysis, business analyst, search United States, generally anything over 40,000. I don't know why it's giving me this. It's not giving me very many results. If I do CBAP, in addition, in place of this, it actually gives me more results than business analyst. But this is one thing that I think is quite interesting. If you go up to 200,000, you've got 35 results still. Let's do CBAP. Sorry, it's CBAP. At 200,000 plus, you've got almost 1,000 results, but I want you to take note of what these titles are. These aren't business analysts. These are other roles that they're saying, if you have a CBAP, we value you a little bit more. I mean, that one's a business analyst. Here's a business analyst.
Even TikTok needs a business analyst.
Everybody needs a business analyst. But my point is, having a certification, even, it doesn't really matter which certification it is. The better certification you can get, the better rates you can demand. But having a certification, just having a certification, means that you have paid attention to your career, you're willing to invest in your own learning, and they respect that. There's some people, some companies that they say, if you have a certification, we want to talk to you. Otherwise, they don't. Illia, have you had any changes in your position or your pay rate or your job because of your certification?
No, but actually that happens. When I started doing that, I was like thinking of like how I can expand, how I can progress. And then while I was studying still, I didn't yet pass, the opportunity came to me. So I got a senior level role, which is reflected in pay and everything. But then I got this. So I kind of already got it before this. So, but yeah,
were they aware that you were studying for this?
Yeah, they were aware, but I don't think that's impacted this, because it's more like Scrum Master, Product Owner role in the Agile world. But I think after I shared with my leadership, they say, oh, that's very good, that it's going to help our company. And actually, it's a good thing if you're working in some company which is open to any new ideas, and then you see they don't have that business analysis approach, which is a great approach. It's saving huge amount of money. It's like I'm noticing that those projects which are not planned or not requirements not collected properly, even that initial stuff which BABOK paying a lot of attention, like cost benefit analysis, business case, like understanding your KPIs, solution evaluation. If that's not put in place right away, like you're starting from the wrong foot and your project, you will end up, and then what did we achieve? Like you're starting doing evaluation and all of that, and you're understanding that the benefit is not that good. We spend so much money doing that. So the approach is very good itself. So I mean, if even your company is not requesting it, you can incorporate this and even do it as a selling point, like sell yourself. I think that's also helped because people see you trying to achieve more, and like you're learning these techniques, which is a very high demand, I think, that in business analytics.
I agree.
And it's good to be able to put a specific approach in your mind. Still to this day, 70% of large transformation projects fail. And it's always because you don't do the adequate analysis up front. So it's like you don't have time to do it right, but you have time to fail or do it over. Why is that? Why not just do it right to begin with? And you know, it's all about talking and iterating and so on. That's the whole game.
I agree.
Solve the right problem.
There is a win-win to promoting the practice of business analysis in your organization, especially if they don't have it. So if you can explain the benefits of this systematic requirements gathering, risk analysis, laying it out to be sure everyone understands the same thing, not only do you promote your own career, you also promote the company's success. And we've seen it over and over. So if you can do that, you know, even if it's over break time with somebody, or, you know, just show them your excitement over this thing that you've discovered, that you practice, the benefits of it, the wins that we get. The wins are really what will sell it. You know, whenever we solve a problem or stop something because it doesn't have a high enough return on investment, you know, that's a win. So we incorporate lean, we incorporate agile, we incorporate whatever the company needs to succeed. But we are the ones incorporating it because we're business analysts. No matter what our title really is, you know, what they call us, we know what we are.
And actually, to add to that, sorry, just one minute. I actually did this. So I started, like when I started more like diving into the BABOK, I found a lot of things from stakeholders management to documentation, all of that. So I started to incorporate right away in my, despite we called like Scrum Masters and all of that, but we kind of have a playing a role of business analyst, not officially though. So I started to put this documentation in place, stakeholders in place, this and sharing with leaders. And they're like, wow, that looks good. And that works. So now let's do of all other Scrum Masters follow the same thing. So it's really like you don't have to wait until your company will implement those techniques. Just doing it because you have room. If you're not like very like strict in your activities, you have project, you have room, you're planning it, you're doing it, and you're showing it. They're saying, wow, that's good. Let's implement it.
Yeah.
And actually, Scrum Master and Product Owner especially are BA roles. And there's a huge overlap. Actually, I have a PMP also, and I've done project management. And the latest copy of the PMBOK, which is their equivalent of the BABOK, throughout half the material and said Agile is everything, and Agile is stupid. And don't get me wrong, the practice of all the formal stuff in the cottage industry and all the consultants and classes, that's all nonsense. What it really is you talk to each other and you get everybody's input. You really understand what you're doing up front. And then you look at what you're doing and figure out what you need to do next. And you do that over and over and over until you're done. That's all Agile is. And all the stuff, that's all the BA stuff, the specific analytic techniques, all the PM stuff about managing resources, money, and so on, and planning. It's all the same thing. I'm managing like 6 different certs, and it's kind of a pain in the tuchus, but they all really flow together. It's all kind of the same thing.
Okay, so who here has already earned their CBAP? Raise your hand, please. I see 1, 2, 3. Okay, who here is going to earn their CBAP in the next year and a half? I see 2. Yes,
You're doing
I
great,
see
Thea.
3.
You can do it.
Okay, I see 4. Great. Okay, 5. Okay, guys, listen. Whenever you apply, you got a year from when you apply. So that means if we're going to earn it in the next year and a half, within the next 6 months, we have to plan on applying. So what's 6 months from now? This is the beginning of October. We got 2 months,
April.
4 months. So that's April.
Yeah.
So
April.
by the end of April, we need to apply.
And here's a question for you, or here's our offer to you. If you feel you need help in a certain area, so we usually do the knowledge areas, we do the techniques, we do guest speakers, we do random sessions like this. If you're having trouble with a particular area, if you want help in a particular area, let us know. It's your class. We're here to help you with what you need.
Okay, on the screen and in the chat, I'm giving you the address to rpchurchhill.com. This is a list of not only every single recording that we have. We've gone through the BABOK twice now. We are 9 techniques away from having gone through all the techniques twice now. So here's all of the classes, techniques, every single chapter. We went through every chapter, probably 2 classes per chapter. We've gone through them twice now. So that's 4 recordings per chapter. And then we get down here to the actual techniques. If you want to see the technique. Yes, Bob?
Go to the section above that.
Okay.
So that's the knowledge areas, chapters 3 through 8. And sometimes we did 3 weeks, sometimes probably even 4. And if you look at that, those dates are a link to that week's entire hour of going through the questions. And then we talked about some of the other chapters too, directly below that. Then we'd have the techniques where I have a link to a blog post I've written. I'll eventually have all 50. The sub part of the recording where we talked about, so where you see Illia talking about acceptance and evaluation criteria in cycle 1, that'll jump you right to the address on that YouTube at that time when we talked about and he presented that technique.
Right.
And we will have shortly done 2 on every one. And then down below there are guest speakers, and they talk about different jobs and different related and ways of looking at things. Sometimes there are things you should know. Sometimes there's skills from the point of view of colleagues you'll be working with in different specialties. So all of this can contribute.
This particular part is not as beneficial in passing the exam, but it's beneficial in being a good BA.
Right.
In us going through the BABOK, we use Watermark Learning's practice tests, and this is what it looks like. We literally go in and tell it which test we want, and I haven't logged in lately, so I don't have my login in here. And then you can go in and we could just take all of the test questions from chapter 6, if that's what we're working on. So we literally went in and said, this is the question, here's the 4 answers. Which one is not a good answer, if there is one? And then of the 3 that are remaining, which one is the best answer according to the BABOK? And we had a conversation about it. And guys, the conversations is what makes it. We talked about, oh, look at that word. That word is important. Julia, you were phenomenal with this. You would say, nope, that says technique. That doesn't say practice. Or, you know, you would make us look at it the way the BABOK needed us to look at it. And then sometimes even then we got an answer and we went, that doesn't even make sense. And we found out why it doesn't make sense. But in all of it, we learned what the BABOK said. And we learned how to take the test the way so that we were able to get the right answer according to what the BABOK said. Because, you know, regardless of what your personal experience has been in the professional world, what the BABOK says is the only way to take the test. It's the only way to pass the test. Okay, we are at 4 minutes. Let me talk about what we're going to do next week. Next week, we are going to talk about specific test questions on the techniques. We've been working through the techniques and talking about this is this technique and this is what the BABOK says about it, but we haven't talked about practice test questions, and we've been asked to talk about those. So we'll have either sample practice test questions about techniques that we have questions about, and we'll go deep into those, or we're going to go through the techniques chapter in this in using the Watermark Learning online study exam, and talk about techniques so we can practice taking practice test questions on techniques. We're either going to do that just next week or next week and the week after, depending on how successful next week is. If we feel like we've mastered it, if we don't feel like we mastered it, we'll do it for 2 weeks. Okay, any questions for now?
Illia, you're a beast, man. Congrats.
Yes,
Thank you.
congratulations. I'm going to put you on our Hall of Fame now.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Just one thing
Yes.
just came to my mind. So we were practicing, which is a very good practice, like those short questions, short answers. But what I think all the ones who are trying to do this test on their own should practice that big use business cases, because just I have to get used to that. Reading such long, it's like literally like this long, you have to scroll business case, then such big questions, and get used to that. So that you will not, like if you select 25 questions, you will just have small one, but if you select simulation exam, then that's where you will have the long test cases.
Okay.
So I would advise people, that's what I would do differently. If I would go to that simulation one and train there more than I would train just separately.
Correct.
Adaptive US also has practice tests you can take that have case-based questions in each knowledge area. So
I'm not ever going to say that one company provides the best situation for your learning. That's something for you to figure out. I've used Watermark. Bob uses Adaptive. They work. They work for some people, but they don't work for everybody. You have to figure out what works best for you. Okay.
But watermark questions really help me. If I did not have those questions, I would not pass it, because the key to exam is to practice those questions and put yourself in a situation for a real exam, like Illia said, right? First, in my own comfortable pace, I did questions like 25 or 50, and then I keep practicing the whole simulation exam until I got comfortable. And
one of the benefits of Watermark is it will tell you which ones you got wrong, and then whenever you do the mixed test questions, it will say 43% of this one was wrong or right. You know, it will tell you which chapters you need to focus on.
Also, one more question, Illia, how did you find the flow charts and knowing what activities and inputs and outputs flowed in through each task? Did that help at all?
that I was trying, because we're on our sessions, we're practicing this, right? You have to understand that's a technique, that's a task, that's an element. I didn't have like, I didn't really have those questions where you have to differentiate whether it's a task or technique or element. Well, like maybe because it's just mixed up and you have to just to know it. But I didn't have too many of those which you clearly, because in the, I think a technique or guidelines, you have a lot of repeating things. I just cannot memorize them. I cannot memorize that. I was not able to memorize that BABOK. So I was like really, let's say, down when I was going to the test. It's like, I don't remember that all inputs or outputs. No. So I would say, like, if you're not that like your memory is not like Yulia's memory, so then just try to get the whole the whole idea, and then like don't worry about those tasks, like just practice it. I mean, that's, I would say. I don't have that like input output, like they say, like those business. There might be a couple of questions about this, whether this like elicitation goes and then goes like you know, analysis and all of that, like major things, but not like very tiny ones. The diagrams were like more use cases or overall, or that such diagram, or like this techniques diagrams.
Okay. Okay.
Can we, you know, I got a technical question. Just sorry, just throw it out there.
Go ahead.
Do we know if this test is like an adaptive test? And what I mean by that is, like, is there 200 questions and it randomly pulls?
No,
Yeah,
it's not
there's
computer.
a huge bank of questions the IIBA has, and a handful of the 120 it gives you will not count. Like 10 or 5 will be test questions just for their own use, so they can learn vet questions to be added to the bank. But all the questions will ultimately exercise every bit of knowledge in the BABOK, and there are probably thousands of questions. You'll get a representative set drawn randomly from that are evenly
Yeah, that's what I was curious
distributed.
about.
Yeah.
Okay, so it does pull randomly. And I know, like with the Microsoft ones, is if you start answering the question wrong, all of a sudden you'll start noticing that your next question will be in that same area, and it will let you exit that specification. So you kind of know if you're failing or not if you start getting 10 questions in a row and they're all, you know, the same area or
I don't think
identical.
so. But I
And
was
I was
thinking
just
when there's
curious.
business case after business case that, oh, it's learning, I'm not replying to them, just keep on giving me.
Yeah.
No, it's called computer adaptive tests, and CBAP is
okay.
not computer adaptive test.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to end with 3 things. You do the best you can do. It's the best you can do, and nobody can expect more, no matter what. Just get ready for that. Number 2, if you don't know the BABOK, you cannot pass this test. You need to learn the BABOK where you recognize the language of the BABOK whenever you read it. And number 3, I have no idea what number 3 was going to be, but it was going to be brilliant. I will see y'all next week. We're going to talk about test questions, practice test questions for the techniques chapter. So if anybody wants to provide any of the remaining techniques, if you want to do that, we'll plan on that in 3 weeks or something like that. Next week, we're going to talk about practice technique questions, and I'll see y'all here.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you guys next week.
Congratulations.
Good night.
Bye-bye.